Hello and welcome, I'm Tavaragadamu. By accident, he saw a picture of a bridge broken, popularly known as the SEBARA DILDY, on the Abai River Nile. He had it repaired, and from there was born a very big idea of building bridges in many countries and across several cultures. I interviewed Ken Frantz at his home in Yorktown, Virginia in June 2002.
It's really quite an amazing story, really. It's a simple story, but pretty amazing. I was having my truck, my automobile, serviced, having the oil changed, and sometimes when you do this, you wait in a waiting room, at a automobile dealership. And this is what I was doing. I was waiting in a small room, and it had some magazines on the counter. And so just to, let the time go by, I picked up one of these magazines. It happened to be the National Geographic Magazine, the December issue of 2000. Took this magazine, looked at it, opened it up to this page. And of course the photograph is so powerful and strong, and literally the pages just fell open. They just fell open to this picture of the SEBARA DILDY. There was an article in the National Geographic about a rafting expedition that of the Nile River, and they started the rafting expedition at the SEBARA DILDY, and they took a picture of the bridge showing how the man passed over the bridge by rope. And when I saw this, I knew that I was meant to try to go help these people repair this bridge. It was just something I knew immediately when I saw the picture. And so it all started from just that one photo. I think maybe within 1 hour, as I'm driving back in my truck back home, I started thinking about what a challenge it would be to repair this bridge. And then I started thinking, well, if I'm going to repair this bridge, how would I go about doing it? And of course, I immediately thought, well, I'll need to start a charity. I'll need to start a charity organization. Well, then what should I call it? And so this name came up, Bridges to Prosperity. And so things happened very, very quickly. Within a day or two from seeing that photo, I called up the photographer from National Geographic. It was really something. Of course, the photographer that took this picture was just amazed. I mean, if you can imagine the way a photographer would feel that took a picture that was so powerful that somebody saw her photograph. This was Nevada Weir. That somebody saw her photograph and actually decided to act upon it. And she's been a wonderful supporter. Within a couple days after that, I was on the phone with the Ethiopian embassy, and everyone that I spoke with was just instantly just very supportive. And I knew that just from very quickly, within 2 weeks maybe of seeing this photo, that this was something that was not just a crazy, stupid idea, but it was something where I would received a calling, and this was something that really needed to be done. Something that would be very valuable for the people that lived on either side of the river. So I saw the photograph in March, and only 3 months later, I'd already made the arrangements with a lot of friends and a lot of help to travel to Ethiopia, to put together a small expedition, and to travel from obviously traveled by jeep from Addis Ababa to Mota in the Amhara state. And then once we arrived in Mota, then we traveled by foot down 26 kilometers down to the bridge site. All along the way meeting with elders. And this all occurred in June. And then after meeting with elders along the way, we took measurements at the bridge. So we could prepare engineering drawings. And after taking all the measurements we needed, we then hiked out the other side, not the Gojam side, but the Gondar side, and hiked through several villages, again at each village stopping and talking with the village elders to seek their advice and try to get their support. All of the elders that we spoke to on our survey trip were incredible people. They were all very happy to do anything they could to help. They thought it was just amazing that how a Ferengi could see a photo of this bridge, and now he was here, in their village, talking with them. We had elders that said things like, "When I see it with my eyes, I can then die in peace." And so when you hear things like this, you know how important this bridge is to the people. Another man said that after he saw the bridge actually repaired, he said, "I feel like I've been born again." So the elders were just wonderfully supportive along the way. I consider now there's at least 100 elders that I know by name and by looks now. Often I get them mixed up, but I consider them now my very close and dear friends, and they were just a wonderful help. The bridge cost about $100,000, covering all the costs. So the survey trip, the fabrication of the steel, really the most expensive part of the bridge was not the steel. The most expensive part of the bridge was repairing and trying to preserve the bridge, because the bridge was in such bad condition that we wanted to do as much as we could to preserve the other areas of the bridge to make sure that they would not be swept away and damaged. 30,000 of this came from individual donations by volunteers, by people volunteering their time to help prepare engineering drawings. There were just dozens and dozens and dozens of people that provided gifts of money and gifts of their time to help this project, not just in the United States, but also in Europe as well. My brother was responsible for all the engineering. His name is Forrest. Before that, there was an entire 1 year of time in planning and engineering and logistical planning and obtaining materials. The steel, as an example, was a very special steel. It had to be weather resistant so that it would not have to be maintained or painted. This was a special steel that came from Torino, Italy. And then there was a local fabricator in Addis Ababa that actually cut and drilled and fabricated the entire bridge. Actually built it, actually put the bridge completely together in Addis Ababa, did load testing in Addis Ababa long before the bridge was put on a truck and then hauled up to the bridge site. The name of that company was ACFA, and the manager is Umberto Croce. He also ended up being a supporter himself. What we tried to do was to come up with something that was affordable. Most of this money for this particular project was coming from my own personal money, and so there were limits, and so we needed to figure out a way to repair this bridge with something that would last maybe upwards to 50 years, but at the same time made economic sense. And so we chose this method to repair the bridge in steel primarily for economic reasons. It was the most cost-effective way to do it. If we had repaired the structure by using stone and brick, the same way that Menelik did it in 1908, it probably would have tripled or quadrupled. So it may have cost $300,000 or $400,000 to have repaired the bridge back to the way that it was in 1908 when Menelik last repaired the bridge. And since our mission is not, we don't do historic renovations. There are a lot of organizations in the world that do archaeological renovations, and that's what they do is their mission. Our mission is different. We choose bridges where if we can build a new bridge or we can repair a bridge, if by doing so, what we do are connecting large number of peoples on either side that have the ability to trade goods back and forth. And by trading goods, this helps raise the level of their standard of living, helps them earn extra dollars. We estimated that by repairing the SEBARA DILDY bridge, that this would increase trade between the two provinces, between Gojam and Gondar, by 20 to 25 million birr per year. And so when you start, figuring out the benefits of doing a bridge project like this, you need to be sensitive to those things, and you need to choose methods to repair bridges or to build bridges that are appropriate for the amount of trade that will be produced. And so that's our mission, and so we try to do our best to be true to our mission, but at the same time to be to try to do as much to preserve the bridge and to save the bridge, given that it's such an archaeological treasure for Ethiopia. You just sit down and you would talk to the elders. Do you remember? Do you remember any stories that your grandfather told you about how the bridge was repaired? Were any of your grandfathers or great-grandfathers involved in the crew? And it's amazing how many stories are passed down over 100 years from father to son, to grandson, that would tell the story of how this bridge was repaired. And so there was really a wealth of knowledge in the villages, especially in this one village, Agamoha, which is located maybe 20 kilometers on the Gojam side, maybe halfway between Mota and the SEBARA DILDIY. Most of the people that were used originally to repair this bridge came from this village. It was their grandfathers that Menelik and Menelik's public works people hired to do the actual work. So we found out a lot about the techniques they used. We even found out where the material source came from, where this pit was, where they mined the clay stone. And so we got a lot of information that way. The way that we designed the bridge was to allow renovation, a total renovation, to take place later on. That made it a little bit harder for us. We knew that we needed to design something that kind of sat on top of the bridge, and that did not really touch the bridge except for in a few places. So that's the way we designed it. We kind of lifted up the steel and lifted it up so it was out of the way of the bridge. So if ever a group came in that did archaeological restorations and actually wanted to return the bridge to the way it was during the time of Menelik, that they could. The bridge was designed for 400 kilograms per square meter, which if you think about 400 kilograms of weight being in a space, just like this is the equivalent of having a bunch of people just jammed in, shoulder to shoulder, as tight as they can. The Nile River is really a perfect example of a situation where an entire country is separated into two pieces by this huge, huge gorge. I mean, everybody knows how big and how deep it is, how deep that gorge is. 1,500 meters deep, and in some places, 40 kilometers, 70 kilometers wide. And yet, at the same time, there are, millions of people on either side, directly on either side. And yet, these people, in many places, have no way to cross. True, there's the Shafartak Bridge, and then there's another bridge further down, closer to the Sudan, and of course there's a bridge all the way up at Bahir Dar. But other than these bridges, that's it. And yet you're talking about a bridge that's, I'm not sure how long it is in Ethiopia, but maybe 800 kilometers, maybe 800 kilometers long. And yet only 4 bridges cross the Abai. And yet there are 10 times that many trading routes across the Abai. There's all kinds of, everywhere where there's a ford, you know what a ford is? It's where in the summertime the water's low and then people are allowed to pass. they can walk across. The Bai has maybe 10 fords, areas where people can cross. But there aren't bridges at these fords, and so they can only cross, they can only do their trading just during the summer months. So there's just tremendous opportunities to build other bridges and other locations across the Bai to really connect the people of Gojam to Gondar, connect the people of Gojam to Showa, connect the people of Gojam to Wolaga. So there's just tremendous opportunities. The one that we are very interested in doing a project next. In fact, we've already sent a team of people to survey the bridge. We've got the support of both of the Weridas, the Kabalays, the zone administrators, both in Gojam and Showa and Wolaga, is a crossing called Castanio's Folly. And this is located about 50 kilometers downstream of the Shafartak Bridge. And it's an incredible bridge, and there's an incredible story to it, but it's a bridge that was that Menelik ordered to be built at the turn of the century in 1900, which is interesting. At the same time he's up repairing the SEBARA Dildiy, he's ordered and given this Ethiopian Italian man, Castanio, instructions to go build the first major automobile bridge across the Abai. And they choose this site, 50 kilometers down from the Shafartak, and they build these huge stone abutments on either side that are still there today. They're untouched. They're literally as if the work was completed, everything was ready for the steel. But the steel never arrived. Every time they ordered the steel from Milano, from Italy, it would be shipped to Djibouti, and then somehow all of the steel, this is tons and tons of steel, would disappear twice. The steel disappeared between Djibouti and Addis Ababa. And so after that, then the bridge project was abandoned, and yet here is a spot that's perfectly ideal. It was chosen because it's an old historic trading route in between Debre Marcos and Wolaga, and Debre Marcos and the Showa province. There are old trails that are still in existence that connect these two areas, and so it's another wonderful candidate to build a bridge at, and so that's the next project that we're looking at doing.